Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for goodness keepsakes. My name is Pam and today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute hanging Monstera plant with this really pretty diamond basket. Very interesting little basket. Very tricky. Definitely recommend an inline hook for this project. I'm going to tell you up front, if you are struggling with the basket, I have a very basic basket pattern in the description box below that you can make if you find this basket way too confusing or overwhelming for you. If any of you are a beginner and you're like, let me show you how to make this really cute little hanging Monstera plant. Except I forgot to mention, if you want the pattern to this, I do have the pattern for sale in my Etsy shop for goodness keepsakes. The link is in the description box below, and now we can get started. So for the first part, I'm going to show you how to make the leaves. You're going to need to make 6 leaves, 2 strands with 3 leaves, 2 strands with 2 leaves, and 2 strands with 1 leaf. Or honestly, you can do any variation of that you'd like. You could even do as many leaves as you like. That's just the number I do. So for this project, I'm using a standard H hook, 5mm. This is a Susan Bates because it's one of my favorites to work with. And especially for this project, I prefer an inline hook. Ooh, that sun got strong. I'm also using worsted weight yarn. This is just Red Heart Super Saver. You can use whatever color green you want. I don't even remember what this one is. Tea leaf? Yeah, it's tea leaf green. But I actually think the darker green looks better, but the lighter green is going to be easier for you to see, so that's what I'm using for this project. So start with a slip knot and chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slip stitch to the 4th chain from the hook. So here's the 1st chain, 2nd chain, 3rd chain, 4th chain. We're going to slip stitch to that 4th chain. Whoop! Just like that. Now this hole is ridiculously small, but you can get in there. We're going to be working into this little ring that we formed. So we're going to insert our hook into that space in the middle, and we're going to single crochet 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a chain 2 picot. 1, 2, and a picot. Wow, that sun is intense. And then 3 more single crochet into the ring. 1, 2, 3. So you have the 3 single crochets, a chain 2 picot, and 3 single crochets. And then you're going to slip stitch into the back loop of the next chain. So into this next chain here, we're going to slip stitch into the back loop. Now we are going to chain 3 and turn. 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. So you're looking at the back now. We are going to slip stitch into the 2nd single crochet from the hook. Not the 2nd chain, but the 2nd single crochet. So see, here's the 1st single crochet. We're looking at the back. Here's the 2nd. We're going to slip stitch into that 2nd single crochet. And then we're going to chain 1 turn. So that's what you should have. And then we're going to single crochet 4 times into this new chain 3 space we created. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 single crochets into that chain 3 space we created. Then we are going to slip stitch into the next chain. And repeat row 2. So we are going to again chain 3, turn. In the 2nd single crochet from the hook, which is this one here, we're going to slip stitch, chain 1 turn. This is what you should have. 4 single crochets into this space. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the back loop of the next chain. Just like that. Now we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn. We're going to slip stitch into the 2nd single crochet from the hook. So here's the 1st single crochet, here's the 2nd single crochet. We're going to slip stitch into the 2nd one again. Chain 1 turn just like before, and again like before, 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. And this is what you should have so far. You should have your center where you started, and then 3 of these weird loop things going up the side. It says in row 4 that after you do that, the 4 single crochets into that chain 3 space, to slip stitch 3 times down the center. So here's our 3 chains there. We are going to slip stitch into those chains. So there's 1, 2, and 3. 3 times down the center. These 3 slip stitches are going to be the slip stitches that you join to for the next, for rows 5 through 7. So for row 5, you're going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the second single crochet from your hook. So that's the first one. Here's the second one. So into this one right here, slip stitch and chain 1 turn, and into this gap you created, put 4 single crochets. 2, 3, 4. Then if you look, here's our slip stitches going down the center. 1, 2, 3. We are going to join to this slip stitch here. So make sure your slip stitches aren't too tight. And how you join this, honestly, if you want, you can go under both loops, or you can just go under one loop. It really doesn't matter. Pick one. I'll just do one loop for this example. Then you're going to start row 6 by doing a chain 3 turn. Slip stitch into the second single crochet from your hook. Chain 1 turn. Put 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. And then look at your next slip stitch. This is the back side from what I've got facing me right now. Here's the second slip stitch. I'm just going to go through this one loop there. That's all you need. You can do both. You can do one. And then we're going to start row 7 by doing a chain 3 turn. Join to the, not the first, but the second single crochet. Chain 1 turn. Into this gap, put 4 single crochets. Again, join to the slip stitch. I'm just going to join through underneath that one loop. And see, if you do it underneath the one loop, you'll have this sort of line in the middle. And if you like that, great. And if you don't, then all you have to do is slip underneath both the loops and you won't have that line there. So, matter of preference there. So after you've slip stitched to the last slip stitch, that was confusing. After you finish row 7, then you're given a choice here. If you're doing just one leaf, you're just going to chain 5 and cut, leaving a 6-inch tail. Or you chain 17 and repeat rows 1 through 7. So we're going to chain 17 because we're going to start with the 3-leaf pattern. So here's our first leaf that we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Why did I do 20? 19, 18, 17. There we go. Chain 17, not 20. All right, so when you're doing the chain 17 to start the next leaf, you'll have 10 chain stitches in between your leaves, and the top 7 will be your next leaf. So back to row 1 again, we're going to slip stitch to the 4th chain. So there's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th chain. We're going to slip stitch there. I like to spin everything around and keep the yarn in the back. This is where it's kind of important to make sure your yarn's in the back. I mean, you can bring it around the front, but I feel like that makes it, see how it's going over this, where we've just worked? I want it to go under. See? Looks a lot more comfortable that way. So when you finish that and you go to immediately start to work into your loop, your yarn's going to want to go over, so you have to bring it around everything so it's in the back. So just immediately bring it so that the loop is pointing off to the left. The yarn's coming around behind what you've just worked on. And you're just going to go right into the middle of that loop there with 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a chain 2 picot. So chain 1, 2, and picot. And then back into this ring again, we're going to do 3 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now into the next chain, which is this one right here, we're going to slip stitch into the back loop, which honestly is how most people just work into chains anyways, but not me, and that's why I specified. Then we're going to chain 3, turn. By the way, if I fail to mention what row I'm on, I apologize. I kind of work this fluidly, and so I keep forgetting, but we are starting row 2 with a chain 3 turn. And then into that's the first single crochet. Here's the second. We're going into the second single crochet with a slip stitch. Chain 1, turn, and into this chain 3 space we just created, we're going to put 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then slip stitch to the back loop of the next chain. And repeat row 2 for row 3. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn. Slip stitch to the, that sounds bright. Slip stitch to the second single crochet. There's the first, here's the second. Slip stitch, chain 1, turn, into this chain 3 space we created, put 4 single crochets. Ooh, that sun can get bright. And slip stitch to the next chain. Now, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn, slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn, put 4 single crochets into here, into this chain 3 space. Now instead of slip stitching to the next chain, you're going to slip stitch 3 times back down the chains you've already worked. And you can kind of see them, 1, 2, 3, those gaps there. Slip stitch into there. Make sure your slip stitches aren't too tight so that you can work into the back loop of the slip stitch when you're joining for rows 5 through 7. So that concludes row 4. Row 5, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch to the second single crochet. So that's that one right there. Slip, whoop, chain 1, turn, into this chain 3 space we created, put 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you look on the back side of your work, because this is the side facing us currently, you'll see there's our 3 slip stitches. You're going to join to underneath either both or just the back loop of the slip stitches. Now row 6, chain 3, turn, slip stitch to the second single crochet. You might notice the pattern at this point. Chain 1, turn, into the chain 3 space, put 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the back side, here's the next slip stitch. Join to that slip stitch, chain 3, turn, slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn, and into that chain 3 space, 4 single crochets. By the way, if I'm going too fast, remember that YouTube has playback speed options. You can slow me down, and if I'm going too slow, you can speed me up. Again, into the next slip stitch, the last of the 3 you did going down the center, you're going to join. Whoop. And that completes your second leaf. So at this point, you either chain 17 into your third leaf or chain 5, cut, and tie. So we're going to do a third leaf, so we're going to chain 17. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whoops, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And what do you want, son?
Is that tidied up now?
I can't see. Yeah, Japanese hops is rough. What do you want, baby?
I'm looking itchy.
You need coloring? Do you want to get her a piece of paper for me with some markers, please?
Not markers.
Oh, yeah, she does color herself. Do we have crayons or colored pencils she can use?
Here's some crayons.
Or let's just give her some acrylic paint. That'll go well.
That'll go very well.
So in the 4th chain, we're going to start third and final leaf for this stem. So in the 4th chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to slip stitch. Now see, I work under the 2 loops, not just under the back loop. That's just how I do it, but it doesn't matter which way you do it. So slip stitch. Now again, I'm going to turn so that this loop is going off to the left since I'm right-handed, but if I keep that there, first of all, it's going to keep spinning it back, and second of all, it's going to come over my chain, and I don't want that. So I'm going to bring the yarn down and underneath my work so I can just turn so that my loop is hanging off this way, and see my yarn is where it should be. I hope that makes sense. So into this space, we have a crying baby. Into this chain 4 space or whatever, this ring, we're going to put 3 single crochets. We're going to do a chain 2 picot, and then 3 more single crochets into that ring. If you can't see the hole for the ring, just stick your hook in there by faith and roll with it. So we're going to slip stitch to the next chain in the back loop only. Chain 3 and turn. In the second single crochet from the hook, we're going to slip stitch, chain 1, turn. There's our chain 3 space. We're going to put 4 single crochets in there. Hey, who's eating the whipped cream? Into the next chain, back loop only, we're going to slip stitch, chain 3, turn. Into this second single crochet, we're going to slip stitch, chain 1, turn. Into this chain 3 space, we're going to put 4 single crochets again. 3, 4. We're going to do this one more time. So what we end up needing is 3 of these chain 3 spaces. So if you're like, wait, how many times have I done this? How many times do I need to do this? You need to do it. So you have 3. So we're going to chain 3, turn again. Into the second single crochet, we're going to slip stitch, chain 1, turn. Put 4 single crochets here. But when you do this third and last one, you're not going to slip stitch to the next chain. You're going to slip stitch down the 3 center chains you've already worked into. So into this one, slip stitch 3 times down the center. There's 3. Chain 3. Slip stitch to the second single crochet. This one right there. Oop. Chain 1, turn. Into the chain 3 space, do 4 single crochets. And we're going to join to the first, which is technically the third slip stitch. It's the last slip stitch we made going down the center. Underneath that one loop. See? Slip. And then we're going to chain 3, turn. Into the second single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, turn. Into this chain 3 space that we made, we're going to put 4 single crochets. Again, into the next center slip stitch we made, we're going to go through this one loop here, whoop, with a slip stitch, chain 3, turn. Slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn, 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space, slip stitch to the last slip stitch. Gosh, that's confusing. Slip stitch to the last center slip stitch. Gosh, that sun's coming back again with a vengeance. And that quiet you. And that concludes the third and final leaf. So at this point, we're just going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the thing is if you want them to vary in length so that all the leaves aren't just coming off at the same place, you could do, I would say, as few as 4 chains at the top and as much as 8. So you can vary them up. I think on these other leaves I did 8 chains at the top, which is a nice length. But I wouldn't do more than 8, and I wouldn't do fewer than 4. So I'm going to do 5 on these next 3 stems I'm doing, just to kind of change the length up a bit. I'm going to leave a 6-inch tail and cut, because I'm going to need that for anchoring it into the soil later. So just pull it through, and ta-da! The only thing left to do on this one is to fish in this tail, which, considering it's just a plant, it's not like a piece of clothing or something, you can just kind of fish it in here and call it a day. I don't do anything more than that. So I just fish it through once, trim it, and there we go. That's good enough. So there's our 3-leaf. If you find it wants to kind of bend in half like this, that's actually normal and it kind of gives the leaf a really pretty nice shape. But if you don't like that, then you could block this. I don't usually use pins and foam and stuff. That drives me nuts. So what I do to block it is I just take my handheld steamer and steam it flat, and it stays flat. So that's one thing you can do if your leaves want to curl up and you don't like how much it's curling up, because that can be an issue of tension. But there is our first stem. Aren't those pretty? The sun is disappearing once again. It's a cloudy day. I think it's supposed to storm, actually. Anyhow, so let's do the 2-leaf. So we just did the 3-leaf stem. We're going to do the 2-leaf now. So start with a slip knot and chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one right there. We're going to slip stitch. Whoop. And then into the center, which is hard to see, but it's there, we're going to put 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a chain 2 picot. 1, 2, picot. And then we're going to put 3 more single crochets into the center there. And slip stitch to the back loop of the next chain, this one right here. Chain 3, turn. In the 2nd single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, turn. In this chain 3 space, put 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch to the next chain. Chain 3, turn. Blah. Into that 2nd single crochet, we're going to put a slip stitch, chain 1, turn. Into this chain 3 space, 4 single crochets, 3, 4. Into the next chain, slip stitch, chain 3, turn. Into the 2nd single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, turn. 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. I'm probably going way too fast for y'all, I'm sorry. And then we're going to slip stitch 3 times down the center there. So 1, 2, 3. One way you can prevent your leaf from puckering up too much too is to not over tighten these slip stitches. You really want the hook to be the gauge. You don't want them to be too loose or too tight. Chain 3. The front's still facing you. Slip stitch to the 2nd single crochet. Chain 1, turn. And put 4 single crochets into that chain 3 space. Whoops. 3, 4. Now, looking at our 3 slip stitches there. 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit confusing, but basically look for the first one you can see and go through just that loop and slip stitch. Chain 3, turn, slip stitch into the 2nd single crochet, chain 1, turn, 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space, slip stitch into the back loop of the, which is now the front loop technically, that's confusing. Slip stitch to the center, slip stitch, slip, so many slip stitches, chain 3, turn, join to the 2nd single crochet with a slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and put 4 single crochets into your chain 3 space. And then into this last slip stitch we made, which is a little confusing because you almost can't tell at a glance. But this is the last single crochet and this is the last slip stitch. Anyways, slip stitch to the slip stitch and you're done slip stitching. Whew. So again, if you're just doing 1 leaf, you would just chain 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 4 I would say one of those. Chain either 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 chains and then cut and tie. But in this case, this is going to be a 2-leaf stem, so I'm going to chain 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This number of chains is the number of chains in between each leaf, which I think 10 is a good number. If you want to change that, you can too, but I think 10 looks good. And then 7 more is for the next leaf. 4, 5, 6, 7. Thus, we have 17 chains altogether. So into the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to slip stitch. Now again, I don't want to bring the yarn over when I turn to work into this ring. I'm going to bring it around the back so it's laying more naturally. Go into the center of the ring with 3 single crochets. Chain 2, picot, and then 3 more single crochets into the center of this ring. Then slip stitch to the back loop of the next chain. Chain 1, 2, 3, and turn. Slip stitch to the second single crochet away from the hook. Chain 1, turn. Here comes the sun again. Do 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 do, and then 4 single crochets into the chain 3 space. Slip stitch to the next chain in the back loop only. I say back loop only because it makes it easier to slip stitch back down the center when you do that. So chain 3, turn, slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn. Holy moly, that sun. Again, 4 single crochets into the chain 3 space. Slip stitch to the next chain in the back loop only, which is what most people do anyways. Chain 3, turn. In the second chain from the hook, slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and you'll see 1, 2, 3. This is our 3rd like loopy thing on the side. Loopy thing on the side. Yeah, that makes sense. Chain single crochet 4 times in the chain 3 space. So you've got your center bottom and the 3 up the side. So we're going to slip stitch 3 times down the center. 1, 2, 3. Now I will say, if you struggle to find where this slip stitch is, like for some reason it's really just messing you up, you could place a stitch marker there to help you see it when you're coming back, so you know where you're supposed to go. But 2, 3. In fact, I'll just kind of do this because I don't know where my stitch markers are, so I'm just going to shove this needle there. That's a great idea. It's plastic, I should be fine. So in the second single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, try not to stab myself, chain 1, turn. Into that chain 3 space, we're going to put 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And see, that's where, whoops, I put it through the one side and not, I put it through the back loop and not the front loop. So see, this is the loop we need to work into. So we boop, boop. Slip stitch there, chain 3, turn, slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn, and into that space we created, put 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crazy sunshine. So now we're going to slip stitch to the what's now the front loop of the next center slip stitch. Just going to stick our hook in there and slip. 1, 2, 3, turn, first, second, slip stitch to join. Now we've got our new loop, so we're going to chain 1, turn, and into that chain 3 space we're going to put 4 single crochets again. 3, 4, slip stitch to this last center slip stitch. So many slip stitches. And then chain 5, or however many you want to do, and then cut and tie. So we're going to leave about a 6-inch tail. It doesn't have to be super long. And then I'm just going to fish in this tail real quick. It doesn't have to be like super in there. I mean, I don't know anybody who's going to be tugging at your plant excessively, so but I'm just going to fish that in real quick and snip it short. So there's our 2-leafed stem. So let's do a single leaf now, and we should have everything we need because I've already done the other ones. I've already got 3 here. I cheated. Sorry. Oh, you know what? I want to show you guys something really quick. Just a random side note. This was my husband's grandmother's ring. He loved his mum to pieces. And I meant to put that one for this video so I could be like, shing, sparkle, sparkle, because my mother-in-law gave it to me. And my husband, it means a lot to my husband because 1, he adores tanzanite. And 2, he's always wanted to get me tanzanite and never has, never's really been able to. And 3, because he adores his mom. She passed away before I got a chance to meet her. And from what I heard, she's an amazing woman. And I wish I would have had the opportunity to meet her. I should get a chance to meet her in heaven. But this was her ring, and it was given to me. And I'm really excited about that because I think it's absolutely beautiful. Let's do one more leaf. I'll let you guys look at that for a minute. So for this last leaf, we're going to chain 7 like always. I lost count. What was I doing? 3, 6, 7. In the 1, 2, 3, 4. In the 4th chain from the hook, slip stitch. And then into the center, which is impossible to see into, put 3 single crochets. To a chain 2 picot. And listen to my 2-year-old. What about Moses?
No Moses.
No Moses? Okay. Put 3 more single crochets into that center there. So there's the center bottom of our leaf. Slip stitch into the next chain in the back loop only. Chain 3, turn. In the second single crochet, slip stitch. Sorry. What, sweetie?
I saw you.
You drew me? Let me see. Oh, it's beautiful. Hey, come back here. I was looking at it. Where am I at?
No, it's you.
Juju?
I made that.
You made that?
My nose. Your eye.
You made nose and eye? It's. I like all the colors you picked.
Mouse.
And a mouth? You want to put this up on the fridge? Okay, ask Yaya to help you. So into this chain 3 space, put 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the back loop of the next chain, slip stitch, chain 3, turn. Whoops, that's 2, 3, turn. Into the second single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, turn. That tail is getting in my business. Put 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. And into the back loop of the last chain, slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, turn.
Mommy, I'm wet.
You're wet? Oh yeah, you are. You need diaper. So slip stitch into the second single crochet from the hook, chain 1, turn. Put 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. I'm struggling. Into those center 3 gaps, we're going to put our slip stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to chain 3, slip stitch to the second single crochet. Okay, chain 1, turn. Into that chain 3 space, put 4 single crochets. I'm sorry if you're listening to my 2-year-old. Slip stitch to the slip stitch to the center, slip stitch, and chain 3, turn. slip stitch to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn.
Mommy, Dad.
Okay, I'm coming. And put 4 single crochets into that chain 3 space. Slip stitch to the next center, slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, turn, join to the second single crochet, chain 1, turn, 4 single crochets into this chain 3 space. You're almost done. Slip stitch to the center, slip stitch, and then chain however many you want, somewhere between 4 and 5, somewhere between 4 and 8.
Mommy, Dad.
Cut, leaving a 6-inch tail. Tie it off. And then grab your tail and fish it into the center. What time is it? Oh gosh, it is after 4. My bad. What's that?
You're 10 stitches.
So there's our single leaf, our double leaf, and our triple leaf stem. So you're going to go through and basically do all of that again so that you have 2 3-leafed stems, 2 2-leafed stems, and 2 single-leaf stems. Just like that. You can either replay that section or whatever, but get yourself to this point and then join me. So next we're going to keep using the same size hook, and we're going to use this dark brown, I think this is coffee. I think this is Red Heart's coffee color. And we're going to use this to make our dirt. So our dirt starts, if you've seen any of my other plants, this is exactly the same. It's going to start with a magic ring, which I do by making an X over 2 fingers, going away and then towards my hand. And then I put my hook under this bottom one, grab the top one, bring it under and around, and then grab that outer one and whoop, there we go. So there's our magic ring. So we're going to chain 2, and then into the magic ring we're going to double crochet 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to tighten the center of this loop to about fingertip size, but we're not going to tighten it all the way. And what I'm going to do is fold this end over and join to the top of my chain 2. And that means we'll have about 9 stitches going around. I say about. We will have 9 stitches around. It's just going to be weird and kind of tubular because it's not cinched all the way. And that's fine because you want that gap. Chain 2 into the next stitch, and around we're going to put 2 double crochets. So 2 in each stitch. So there's 2 in that one. 2 in this one. You should have had 9 stitches, by the way, when you finished. 2 in this one. You're going to put 2 double crochets in the next 8 stitches. I didn't realize it was after 4 already. That's my bad. Once you've done it 8 times, you should have this 1 stitch remaining that kind of joins with this chain 2. So you're going to put 1 stitch in that same stitch as the chain 2 and join to the top of your chain 2. And so that should have 18 stitches around. Chain 2 and double crochet in each stitch around. So double crochet 17 times and join to the top of your chain 2 for 18 stitches total. And it's really that simple. You're just putting 1 double crochet in each stitch, and your chain 2 counts as your first double crochet in this pattern. I forgot to mention that, sorry. So we're going to go around 1 in each stitch. I'm sorry that this yarn is so dark. If I had a lighter brown, I would show you with the lighter brown, but I don't. And it's too easy for me to buy way too much yarn and get my yarn stash get out of hand. So I try to use what I have, and this is what I have. So be careful not to put an extra stitch into this last space, because that last space goes to the chain 2. So when you've worked around 17 times, join to the top of the chain 2 for a total of 18 stitches. Chain 2 and just repeat that. 17 double crochets around, 1 in each stitch, and then join to the top of your chain 2 and you'll have 18 stitches left. So we're just going to repeat that again. I've got my son in there. He will be 10 this year, and he's making taco meat for everybody. He's really good at, he loves to cook actually, and I wanted to get this done before dinner, at least this part of the pattern, because I'm definitely going to have to finish the rest of this perhaps tomorrow. So once we go around, don't go in that last stitch. That last stitch goes to the chain 2, join to the chain 2. You should have 18 stitches around if you just want to make sure that you're on track. The toddler's freaking out about a bug. Chain 2, and repeat that one more time, 1 stitch in each stitch around. So work around 17 times and join to the top of your chain 2 for 18 stitches total. So you're doing basically 3 rounds of just 1 double crochet in each of the previous double crochets. So after we've done that, we are going to pause, pull your loop loose, and get all of your tails. I like to line up all of the ends so that they are even. Make sure you have all 6, 2, 4, 6, and that the ends are lined up. Sometimes I use a bigger crochet hook to do this, but grab all of these tails and pull them in. You want the outside, the leaves to be on the outside of your project. So once I get them in, usually what I do is I invert it and pull it down so that I can make sure that all of these ends are in and are inside, so that there's no string hanging out. And if anything seems short, I grab that one and tug it. Like so. I want them in. Once it is, I grab my tail. Be careful not to pull too hard, because I have popped the yarn before, and cinch your magic ring shut. Now the best part is take your magic ring tail and all these tails. I usually wrap it around 2 fingers, so I grab it with 2 fingers, wrap it around, and pinch it through, tie a knot up snug against the base, like so. That is secure. That will not come out. So now you can flip it back out the right way. Whoopsies, that doesn't go in. Tuck all your tails in and continue. At this point, you can stuff with a little polyfill if you want. Here comes that sun again. Or you can wait till you've done another row, which is what I normally do. I actually wait till I'm just about finished. So row 6, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to double crochet 2 together 8 times. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And what we're going to do, whoops, I keep snagging the other side. Here comes the sun again. So then what we're going to do is, instead of joining to the top of our chain 2, we're actually going to join to the top of our first double crochet. And we're going to cut, leaving a 6 to 8 inch tail. It's basically a tail long enough to just sew the end shut with. At this point is when I normally stuff with polyfill. If you want to do it before you do that row, you can. You truly don't need much. There's like, you know, this is more, probably more than enough. And stuff it with polyfill. Struggle to stuff it with polyfill. Now that'll work perfect. You don't want to overstuff it, or your stitches will expand and then you'll see all the white polyfill, and then stuffing your basket later will be cumbersome. So you want it to be shaped but not overstuffed and like stretched. Next, we're going to kind of sew this shut. You can use a tapestry needle if you want. I just use my hook and I insert from the same direction. You can go inside to out or outside to in. It doesn't matter. I go outside to in. Well, I insert outside to in, yarn over, and pull inside to out, if that makes sense. And I just grab this tail and pull it through each of the stitches in the same direction, going around. And when you've gone in each stitch around, cinch it shut. Just like that. And then I usually just kind of go underneath one of these stitches and tie a knot just to secure it.
Mommy,
What, buddy?
what's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
Yeah.
Tacos. Now you can cut that tail short if you want. It's going to go on the bottom of the basket, so it doesn't really matter. Or you can tuck it in if it really bothers you. I'll just tuck it in. Now we just have to make the hanging basket. So it is now the next morning for me, which is why the lighting is a little bit different. This is my morning window light, very soft and very lovely. And now I'm going to show you how to make the hanging basket. So I've got some tan yarn, whatever yarn color you want your basket to be. This is just the Super Saver. Is this Aran or Buff? It's Buff. It's acrylic. It's worsted weight acrylic yarn. And I've got my H hook. Now this basket is kind of tricky. It's also more of a like a bowl basket, not like a flat bottomed basket. So this basket though is a little bit tricky. It's involved. It starts with a chain 3, and in the third chain from the hook we're going to double crochet 9 times. So into this first chain we made, that's the third chain from the hook, we're going to double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to double crochet 9 times and then join to the top of our initial chain 3. So right here. You should have 10 stitches around. Next we're going to chain 2, which counts as the first double crochet. And we're going to put 2 double crochets in each of the 9 stitches going around. So 1 and 2 in the first one. 1, 2 in the second one. There's the third one. Here's the fourth one. Here's the fifth one. Screaming toddlers. Here's the sixth. Here's the seventh. Here's the eighth. There's the 9th. So after you've done it 9 times, you'll see you've got this 1 stitch left, which is actually the stitch that this chain 2 goes into. We're going to put 1 double crochet in there and then join to the top of our chain 2. So 1 double crochet in that stitch and then slip stitch to join. Next, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to single crochet in that same stitch. So in that gap where you see the slip stitch going into, just go right back in there with a single crochet. And then we're going to skip 1 stitch and put, so we're going to skip this one because this is the next one. And we're going to put 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and 3 more double crochets all into this stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets in that same stitch. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. Skip the next stitch and then single crochet. Skip a stitch and we're going to repeat. So 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets all in that same stitch. Skip the next stitch and into the next one, just a single crochet. Skip a stitch and into the next one, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So there's the 3, chain 1, 3 more double crochet in the same stitch. Then we're going to skip 1 and single crochet in the next. Skip 1, do 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet all in that same stitch. Then you're going to skip 1 and single crochet in the next stitch. Skip 1 and do our 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet again. Chain 1, 3 more double crochet. And then if you skip 1, you should be, this looks like another stitch, but actually that's this same one. It's the one we joined to here. So this is the last stitch. You're skipping that and joining right to the top of your first single crochet. Just like that. Now to start row, after the end of row 3, you should have 40 stitches going around. We're going to start row 4 by actually slip stitching over 4 times. So this is where you've slip stitched to join. We're going to go here with 1, 2, 3, and if you do it right, then when you get to the 4th one, you should be in that chain 1 space at the top. Now we're going to single crochet into this chain 1 space, just like that. And if it helps, you can put a stitch marker on the top there, because that will be the first single crochet we just made is going to be where you join at the end of this row. So next we're going to back post double crochet the next 7 stitches together. So it's going to be, you'll see in parentheses in the written pattern, it says 3 double crochet, single crochet, and 3 double crochet stitches. So these three double crochets, this single crochet, and these 3 double crochets, they're all going to get back post double crocheted together. So it's kind of like doing the first half of a double crochet in the back post of each of these next 7 stitches, and then yarning over and pulling through everything. So yarn over. Now the thing is too, you can either, it really honestly doesn't matter if you go around the post or just around this top portion. You pick what you're more comfortable doing, but do the first half of a double crochet in the first stitch, the first half of a back post double crochet in the next stitch, the first half of a back post double crochet in the next stitch, the first half of a back post double crochet into the single crochet. Now we're going back up the side with these 3 double crochets. So you yarn over, insert around, like around the back, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 1 more to do. And when you've got all 7 stitches, you should have the 7 loops and your starting loop. So then what you do is just yarn over and pull through everything. After that, you're going to chain 1. You're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space. So here's that next chain 1 space right there. You're just going to single crochet there. And you're going to repeat that until you've done all of these gaps, like all of these valleys. So try to keep this first loop tight. Yarn over, insert around the back posts of the first double crochet, of the second double crochet, working the first half of a double crochet into the backs of the 3 double crochets heading down, and then around this single crochet at the bottom, around these double crochets heading back up. So there's the first of the 3, the second of the 3, and the third. I know this is really tricky. And so you should have the 7 loops plus your starting loop, so 8 loops all together on your hook. Yarn over, pull through everything. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 1 space right there. I like to pull this nice and tight if I can. And repeat. So keep that first loop tight, yarn over, go back to front. Now again, I'm just going through, I'm not going around the actual post. You can. I'm just going around the, like the upper portion of the post, if that makes sense, like under the stitches, like there's that bottom loop right there, and instead of going below the bottom loop, I'm staying above the bottom loop. But you can go below the bottom loop. I think I actually did that with my first basket. You get more of a protrusion here if you'd work further down, just so keep that in mind. So if you like that where it's really popping out more, you can do that. I'll show you when I'm done this one. I'll show you my first one, because I have to find it. I don't know what to do with it. I think it's laying around somewhere. So now we've got our 8 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through absolutely everything. Chain 1 and single crochet in that next chain 1 space. See? And repeat. So keep that first loop tight so that it doesn't get all baggy. Do the first half of a double crochet there, around the second post, going from behind around the third post, going from behind around the single crochet of the previous row, going around one of the double crochets heading back up, the second one heading back up, and the third one heading back up. There's our 8 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through absolutely everything. Try to keep it kind of tight. Chain 1 and single crochet in the next stitch. Alright, so you can see we've got to do this one more time. So keep that first loop tight enough. Go from the back around the first double crochet, around the back for this, around the second double crochet, from the back around the third double crochet, around the back around that bottom single crochet, around the back of the, this one's a bit tricky because this is where we did our slip stitches actually. So do the third one. There we go. We've got our 8 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through everything, chain 1, and now instead of single crocheting into this space, we find our first single crochet, which is a little bit twisted because of our slip stitches, but it is right here. We're going to join to this first. That's why I said it's helpful to put a stitch marker there if you struggle to find it. Just slip stitch to that first single crochet that you made. And this is what you should have so far. Now, if yours protrudes more, that's okay. In fact, this actually looks kind of neat just like that. But if yours protrudes more, that's okay because depending on where you work through the post determines how much it sticks out. So I found my original basket, and you can see how this seems like it's sticking out just a little bit more. Now, at the end of this row, you should have only 15 stitches, which is why it kind of bends in like that. So to start the next row, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same stitch we slip stitched to. We're going to skip a stitch and into this next stitch, which is in the center of your cluster here. We're going to put 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So into this stitch here, try to get that tail out of the way. We're going to put 3 double crochets into this space, chain 1 and 3 double crochets. All into that center there. And then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. So this next stitch is kind of gappy, it's right there. We're going to single crochet right there. And we're going to repeat. So skip a stitch and into the center here where everything kind of clusters up, that gap right in the middle. This one right here. It's kind of tight getting into there. We're going to do our 3 double crochets. A chain 1 and 3 more double crochets. And then you're just going to single crochet in the next stitch. See? So again, skip a stitch, which is this big gap here, and into this tight space where it looks like everything's kind of coming together. Oopsies. We're going to put 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and 3 more double crochet into that space. 2, 3, and then just single crochet into the next stitch, which is just right here. It's kind of squished, I know. And again, skip a stitch, put 3 double crochet into that center gap there, followed by a chain 1 and 3 more double crochet. Single crochet in the next stitch, skip a stitch, 3 double crochets into this little gap here. It can be kind of tricky to get into there depending on how tight you made your stitches. Chain 1, 3 double crochet in that same stitch again. 1, 2, 3, and then just join to your first single crochet. And it should look like this. Has a bit of a pucker in the middle. After this row, you should be back up to 40 stitches again. It's really interesting taking it out to 40, from 20 to 40 to 15 and back to 40. So it will look, you know, puckered, but I think that looks really cool. So for row 6, we're going to start with a chain 2, and that's going to count as our first double crochet. And we're going to back post double crochet the next 3 stitches together, these 3 double crochets going up. So go around, draw up a loop, and do the first half of a double crochet there, around the second, and around the back of the third post. Should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 4. Next, we're going to single crochet in the chain 1 space, And then we're going to back post double crochet the next 3 stitches together. These 3 double crochets going down, we're going to back post double crochet all 3 together. So do the first half of a double crochet around the back post of the first half of a double crochet around the back post of the second, and the first half of a double crochet around the back post of the third, and then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. Next, you're going to do a back post double crochet around this single crochet in the bottom, just like that. And then you're going to back post double crochet the next 3 double crochets together. So going around the back post, double crochet 3 together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Then we're going to single crochet into that gap at the top and repeat. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Do a back post double crochet around this bottom single crochet, and then back post double crochet the next 3 together. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull through all the loops, single crochet in the top there. And you'll see what happens is you end up with something that looks a bit like this. And then repeat, back post double crochet around the next 3, do them all 3 together. That was supposed to make sense. My brain is like, bzzzt. Back post double crochet the next 3 together, back post double crochet around this single crochet in the bottom there, and back post double crochet around the next 3 stitches. Do all these 3 together. Whoop. And then single crochet to the chain 1 space. Do the next 3 together. 1, 2, 3, and then yarn over, pull through everything. Back post double crochet around that single crochet in the bottom. Back post double crochet the next 3 double crochets together. Whoop. Just like that. Single crochet into the top. Now what happens is when we get to the end of this row, you'll see the chain 2 that counts as the first, and we have 3 done together here. So we just have to do the 3 together on this side. So back post double crochet these 3 together. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull through everything, and then just join to the top of your chain 2, which is right here. Ta-da! Now, believe it or not, after you've done this row, you're back to 20 stitches again. Isn't that funny? And you've got this basket with this weird kink in the middle, but I think it makes it look really cool. So for the row 7, all we're going to do is what I love to do with all my baskets, because it gives it that really nice finishing touch, and that's simply chain 1 and then reverse single crochet 20 times around. So if you're right-handed, you'll just be crocheting a regular single crochet but working to the right instead of the left, and if you're left-handed, you would be working to the left instead of the right. So did I say that right? I'm gonna be like editing this and just like thinking way too hard about that. Like, did I say that right? Like, just a reverse single crochet in each of the stitches. You don't have to. If you want, you can just do like a regular row of single crochets just to kind of finish it off, or honestly even just leave it kind of at that and then just start working on your hanging ties. What am I stuck on? I'm getting stuck. And yeah, I have no idea what I was saying. So I'm going to move immediately into doing the ties for this after I work around, and I'll show you how to do that. So once I've done it 20 times, I'm back to where I started. And what I like to do is turn my work, which is why the pattern says turn, and then slip stitch to the inside of your basket. So what I like to do is just sort of bend it open, grab a random spot in here. That's a really cluttered spot. Here's our chain 2 from the previous row. We'll use that. And just, whoopsies, I dropped it. Just go around that chain 2 with a slip stitch. See? Now from here, we're immediately going to go into making our hanging basket, and I'm going to do a chain 35 instead of a 30. It is a little easier to get on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Once you've done a chain 35, you listen to your 2-year-old scream. So then what you're going to do is kind of fold it in half to find the halfway point with this in the center. Go right to the opposite side. Just go right underneath there with a slip stitch. Now, you can do 2 things. One, you can cut and tie and then just join over here and work 35 chains and then join to the other side. Or you can be like me, where I don't feel like doing all that cutting and tying. And so what I'll do is I'll actually slip stitch over about 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If that's a little cumbersome for you, don't worry about it. You definitely want to make your slip stitches loose enough that it doesn't pucker your material. But you'll see slip stitching over 6 times. Actually, it's 5 times. Sorry, I don't know why I said 6. But if you slip stitch over 5 times, I really don't know why I said 6. If you slip stitch over 5 times, it'll put you in the center, and then you can just work 35 chains and join to the other side without having to cut and tie. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. So then again, I just push this strap out of the way. Fold this in half. Find the center point on the opposite side, which is right here. And slip stitch to join. Whoop. And then I might slip stitch over one more just to kind of secure it a little bit more and cut and tie. And just bring it down so it points downward, and just because it's going to be inside the basket anyways. But there's your basket. So at this point, you just take your plant that you made. I find these leaves do get tangled pretty easily if you just kind of throw it somewhere. And we're going to tuck the plant in. So basically what I do is I take each section and I put either 1 or 2 leaves in each quarter. And this one can be a little finicky because these leaves are big and awkward. And that's all there is to it, to making this cute little hanging Monstera plant. I know the basket can be really finicky, and honestly, if you're really struggling with that, I'm going to put in the description box below a really, really simple basic basket pattern. It's literally just double crochets with the reverse single crochet on top. That way, if you're like trying to do this and you're a beginner and you're getting like angry at this and you really are just struggling, you can just use the pattern in the description box for a really, really basic hanging basket and put that in there, because honestly, the bulk of the beauty of this pattern truly is the little Monstera leaves. So I hope you guys really liked this tutorial and found it easy to follow. If there's any confusion or any issues that you're having, feel free to put any questions you have in the comments section below. And in fact, if you are struggling and you want to send me pictures, email me, pam@forgoodnesskeepsakes.com. And you can attach pictures and say, hey, I'm struggling with XYZ. Here's what's happening. Can you please help me? And I will be glad to try to help you in any way that I can. And again, you can find the pattern to this in my Etsy shop, for goodness keepsakes. That link is in the description box as well. If you do email me though, please do me a huge favor and comment below, because sometimes people's emails get thrown into spam and I miss it because I don't generically check my spam folder. So let me know if you have emailed me so I know to look out for that. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. I truly do. And I hope every single one of you has an absolutely blessed day.